Welcome back to this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. Welcome back to this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. Welcome back to this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. Welcome back to this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. I'm your host, Justin Ouaknine, joined by analysts Andrew Klein and Juliana Warnock. Now, a lot has happened over the break with both teams participating in non-conference tournaments, along with the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Let's break it all down now, starting with the men's squad here, Jake. So let's take it back to the Naismith Hall of Fame tournament, where the Canes picked up a big win against Providence, but then suffered their first loss of the season against Maryland in the championship game. So tell me, where do you think the Canes went wrong in this game? Now, the start of the season is all but upon us here with exhibition games for both men's and women's teams coming up in the next few days. Let's start with the men's squad here, Jake. Their season kicks off Sunday, October 30th against the Crimson Hawks of Indiana University at Pennsylvania. So tell me, Jake, even though it's just an exhibition game, what can we expect to see this Sunday? But Miller really came in last year as that do-it-all, kind of Swiss Army knife type of player, if you will. So with a heavier load potentially this season, where do you see his impact being felt most on the court? Definitely a matchup to look forward to. But I want to women's squad here, Juliana, as their streak of dominance continues after thrashing through Boston University and FAU. So tell me, how did they make it look so easy thus far? Definitely looking to see how the team progresses. But I want to women's squad here, Juliana. The Canes are now 6-3 for the season after dropping 3 of their last 6 matches. So tell me, what is the biggest issue that you noticed in the recent performances? Definitely looking to see how that unfolds this Sunday. But I want to women's squad here, Juliana. Just a couple days later, their season kicks off Wednesday, November 2nd against the Barry University Buccaneers. So tell me, what can we look forward to here? Definitely looking forward to that matchup. But that does it for Hurricane Hang Time this semester. We'll see you in the spring. But for now, stay safe, happy holidays, and back to you guys at the desk. Yeah, so starting with the 6-foot two-way guard, Nigel Pack, he spent his last 2 years in Kansas State University where he averaged 17 points per game, shot 45% for the field, and a league best 40% beyond the arc. That earned him all first-team Big 12 honors and also was the league's most improved player last year. And moving on to Norshad Omier, the Nicaraguan native spent his last 2 years in Arkansas State University where he averaged 18 points per game and was a top 5 rebounder in the country, securing just about 12 boards per game. Not to mention, he was a Sun Belt Player of the Year last year. So Charlie, Coach Jim Larinaga, the Canes Hoops team, and all of us here on campus have a lot to look forward to next year. Jared, we got a beautiful start to our weekend. I'm Justin Ouaknine, and we're going to start here with our radar. As you can see, these storms are being pushed offshore starting real early this morning. The storms moved over our South Florida region over last night, and they're associated with the cold front that moved over our state over the last couple of days, in turn creating a much cooler and drier start to our weekend and our work week ahead. So we're going to move on to our short-term futurecast here. These storms up north are going to completely disperse offshore, and you're going to see some of these scattered showers move over our Miami area, and then in turn causing a very humid and muggy start to our weekend and our spring break. So then now looking at our 7-day forecast, we're going to start here Thursday and Friday. As mentioned before, those storms up north are going to possibly cause some spotty showers down here for us, but also in turn making it very humid and muggy to start our weekend. And then as you see, Saturday and Sunday, the lows of 58 and 64 because there is a cold front coming through accompanied by a shower that will come later Saturday, but then these cooler temperatures and nicer weather are going to come through come Sunday. As I mentioned, the cold front is going to be pushing all these storms offshore, bringing the wind gusts, and along with this high pressure system coming in to dominate the region, creating much drier conditions for this weekend. And now we got our beach forecast here. There goes our beach ball. We got a UV index of 10. Water temperatures finally reaching 80 degrees, making it nice and warm for those who want to take a swim. And then as you can see, starting next week, it's going to continue on for the beginning of the week. And we're going to start to go back to that humidity later next week that Miami is known for. But that's it for this weather report. I'm Justin Ouaknine. Back to you guys at the desk, Jared and Ainsley. VU Church has been in partnership with the former Florida Gators quarterback Tim Tebow and his foundation since 2018, hosting the annual Night to Shine prom night to honor and appreciate those with disabilities.
Our pastor, he has a relationship with Tim Tebow, and he heard about this organization, the Tim Tebow Foundation, and about Night to Shine. He was like, we need to do it. And so we were like, let's do it.
Upon the guests' arrival, they made their grand red carpet entrance and were treated to limousine rides, a catered dinner, live music, and more in a night full of dancing, prayer, and love.
Individuals with special needs, they can sometimes feel inferior to other people, or they feel like, oh, they have a disability. And it's like, no, they just have a different ability. And so I think that this night reminds them that, like, hey, you're not different. Like, for us, Jesus is our message here at our church. So we want to remind them that they're loved.
And while this evening was really one to remember for everyone involved, this particular pair surely will never forget the moment their lives changed forever.
When I turned around, my brother comes to me and saying to me, will you marry me? I said yes. It was 100% yes.
For Stephanie Varela and her family, it was a pleasant surprise when her longtime partner Luis Espinoza proposed to her.
I feel pretty amazing, but I think in my head when you proposed to me, it's like, I'm getting so emotional right now. I am very, very happy for him. I'm so happy.
It's been a very special night, needless to say, and he's a very special young man. And of course, she said yes. What can I tell you? He's a great guy, and I just want the best for both of them.
Through this event, Night to Shine aims to bring light and exposure to the disabled community, and Gina Varela believes this has had a massive impact on the community's growth.
I think that disabled children and adults have a lot more services today. I think people are including them a lot more. I think there's a lot more unity. So for the future, I see a bright future because they have so many opportunities now.
And of course, Luis and Stephanie are grateful and will continue to look forward to their prom night each year together as life partners.
Thank you, Tim Tebow, for making this amazing event for us. Thank you.
Reporting for UMTV, I'm Justin Ouaknine. Diver Max Flory is no stranger to high expectations and pressure. The junior out of Fairfax, Virginia earned a spot in the NCAA Diving Championships last spring, but after a season full of injuries, it wasn't his body that Flory was concerned about.
I just really struggled with practicing, competing, finding motivation, and I ended up performing really poorly because of it, and I ended up not loving the sport anymore.
Head diving coach Randy Abelman suggested that Flory see a sports psychologist, and it wasn't something Flory was happy about at first. But coach emphasized the importance of being mentally sharp to keep his diving game at its best.
The mental part of the game is everything in diving. You have to control so many factors between the fear, knowing technically what you need to be doing. There's visual cues that come up really fast. You have to spot the water every time you flip around so you know when to come out, and you have to have so much confidence.
After seeing Dr. Eric Goldstein in the offseason, Max regained his competitive fire and remembered why he started diving in the first place.
My love for the sport came back. I was positive going to practice every day. I was excited. I couldn't wait to go to training. And so that really helped me, have fun while I was diving, have fun while I was there, and that in turn makes you work a little harder.
In the winter, Flory's efforts paid off when he won a gold medal at the U.S. Winter National Diving Championships. However, he hasn't lost sight of the season ahead of him.
It was something we've been working for sure, and it was only a stepping stone in the process, you know what I mean? Like, the main goal is still to come, and we're still, looking for more. But it was really nice to have that performance, and it was a great feeling.
Flory looks to continue his success as the season progresses, but praises Dr. Goldstein for turning his season around.
He made himself available for me when, he's not working. He's at home having dinner with his family. He'll make time for me to have a phone call to help me succeed. So he really, he goes that extra mile, and he works really well with you, and he gives you all the tools necessary to succeed.
Reporting for UMTV, I'm Justin Ouaknine. Miami Beach, Florida is one of the premier destinations for spring break in the country. From February through April, the beaches get filled up with college students from all over the nation. However, students should expect some unwanted company in large clumps looking to crash this year's beach bash. That company? Endless piles of seaweed. The seaweed known as sargassum is brought by a massive blob of it that's floating off of Florida's coast, and it is twice the width of the continental United States. Experts studying the issue attribute multiple factors to the blob's presence and size.
Due to a variety of factors, runoff from the Amazon River, the Congo River, dust from the Sahara, increased temperature of the water, that it's been present in much larger quantities than have been seen previously.
Sargassum releases hydrogen sulfide as it decomposes, which can make for an unpleasant odor and may also cause slight respiratory issues when in mass quantities.
If there's already sargassum on the beach and it's not closed, there's a good chance that it's safe. If you have respiratory problems, it can irritate you a little bit. But in moderate quantities, it's not so dangerous. It's just seaweed.
With spring break upon us under the scorching Miami Beach sun, spring breakers who are looking to take a dip in the ocean are met with massive clumps of sargassum like this, drawing a couple different reactions from the beachgoers.
I'm a native from Florida, so I've seen seaweed. I've been down to the Keys a lot. You go offshore, you see big patches of it everywhere.
It's gross. There's no other way around it, but you gotta fight through. The water feels really nice. It's hot out here, so I need to cool down. I'm going in the water.
Despite its appearance and foul odor, Daniel and Zach refuse to let sargassum ruin their beach day.
It's not dominating my beach experience. It's part of it, but it's not dominating my experience. Is it getting in my way a little bit? Sure, but I'm still here. I'm at the beach. I'm going in regardless.
For me personally, it doesn't deter me. I was in the water earlier, but I mean, it's part of nature. As long as it's natural, I'm okay with it.
With upward trends in the presence of sargassum each year, experts believe that this issue is now the norm.
It looks like it's mostly here to stay. The presence of sargassum on beaches is now mostly a normal seasonal event in Florida, the Gulf of Mexico, islands in the Caribbean. If the trends continues, I think, yes, it's of concern.
The Florida Everglades is one of the most massive wildlife preserves in the country and home to a variety of native birds, mammals, fish, reptiles, along with some non-native species that could pose a threat to the ecosystem. The latest threat is the invasive Burmese python, and Palmetto Bay native Matthew Conception removed 28 snakes en route to winning a $10,000 prize in this year's Florida Python Challenge. But for Matthew, this is bigger than winning some extra cash.
I'd like to have a family when I'm older and for my kids to just go out and see wildlife, like our alligators or birds. Well, the looks of it, we won't have any of that for the next 10 years. These snakes are just taking over everything.
Conception also mentions how the Southeast Asian native pythons came to flourish all the way down here in South Florida.
People at first had them as pets, and then they got too big. Then people released them, and snakes were just littered everywhere after that.
And by everywhere, he means everywhere in these miles and miles of swampland here behind me. And if this python issue isn't tamed, this could spell some serious danger for the native wildlife. A U.S. Geological Survey study shows that from 1997 to 2012, raccoon and possum populations went down nearly 100%, bobcats down by 88%, while marsh and cottontail rabbits along with foxes have disappeared, mostly into the stomachs of the Burmese pythons. Coopertown Airboat's tour guide Timothy Alva emphasizes how fast these snakes are spreading and just how dire the situation is becoming.
They are spreading very fast and they are eating everything, and it's going to very quickly become a big problem. Especially if they start eating all the food for the alligators, because we need the alligators out here. The alligators are key to the Everglades survival.
To speak even more to their rapid spreading, Conception found an 11-foot Burmese python just down the street of his own home this month. He fears this issue is something we may need to get used to.
Give it 10 years, we might have snakes that are 16 feet on occasion rolling through the neighborhood. That doesn't sound fun.
With time, experts hope to implement more efficient ways to remove the invasive snakes in larger quantities in an effort to resolve this issue and to restore the Everglades. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Justin Ouaknine. Coconut Grove on its surface is known as a hip town in Miami with tons of nice restaurants and shops. But just a couple blocks over is a struggling and growing community, and the Coconut Grove Crisis Food Pantry has been providing groceries and meals for those in need since 1984. The organization prepares bags with basic groceries and warm, ready-to-eat meals for their clients weekly, while also delivering to over 200 houses around the community. The director of the food pantry, Sandra Martin, mentions the positive growth in the community through the project's efforts.
Like they always say, oh, go to the pink church, you know, and that's where and it really has grown a lot since I've been here. You know, even we have new people that move into the Grove, and then they'll, come to find out that they can, come here and pick up a bag of groceries if we can help them.
Martins also points out the internal growth of the organization and how they build relationships with the community.
From like 50 to 60 now, we delivering food to 250 people. You know, and it's so amazing that I'm a driver, and if I don't show up, well, where were you last week? You know, so it's touching that, people really appreciate that we, are giving to the community.
Here at the aforementioned Pink Church, known as the Episcopal Church of Christ, it's where the group meets every Tuesday morning, and where longtime client William Stiles had his first meal 7 years ago upon arriving to the Grove after aimlessly wandering for 3 days with a single water bottle.
I lived in Memphis for 10 years, and I said, I'm just going to go south. And I drove all the way down here, and I said, I just want to go east near water. So I went down, and I ran into Coconut Grove.
And shortly after his arrival, he immediately started making an impact in his own community through the resources from the food pantry.
I became sort of a gatherer for these people that live at Peacock Park. Like the food here, I don't eat it. I take it to the park and give it out.
And without having a home of his own, Styles embodies what this whole project is all about, giving back to community and to those in need. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Justin Ouaknine. Hurricanes women's tennis has gotten off to a strong start to their spring season, winning 12 of its first 14 matches. The team has been firing on all cylinders, and one doubles duo is clicking for the Canes. Isabella Fenig and Audrey Bosch-Collins are a newly paired double, but have been a big part of the team's success. Bosch-Collins transferred from Baylor University this fall, and becoming a Hurricane called for a change in court culture. But she welcomed her new home and team with open arms.
Coming into this program, the intensity and how just the level of everything is much higher. You have to work a lot harder, and everyone's on the same page too. Very high goals. We all want the same thing. So that was a bit of an adjustment, especially like my first month here.
Miami's dynamic duo has been electric this season, but Fenig and Bosch-Collins didn't always have the chemistry they do now.
We had some problems, I would say, in the beginning concerning energy, but we got used to each other really well, and this season we've also played really well, so I just enjoy playing with her a lot.
Even though their play styles and personalities clashed, Fenig says their differences have only made them a stronger doubles team.
Audrey, I would say, is more like a calm person on court, and I have I'm more intense, I would say. Together we work out really well because I push her up a little, she calms me down if she needs to.
Fenig and Bosch-Collins may seem incompatible, but the sophomore doubles pair have only dropped one match all season long, and they are locked in to keep that momentum going. But for that to happen, Fenig and Bosch-Collins will have to play the best way they know how, together.
You don't just play for yourself, but you play for each other. And when you play for something bigger, I feel like you're so much more motivated and you're more ready to fight, and because you play for your friends.
Reporting for UMTV, I'm Justin Ouaknine. Everyone builds habits, good and bad, that can be a foundation of success or failure in one's endeavors. One college student realized this phenomenon back at 15 years old when he decided to create his own apparel brand to push the message of building good habits. Meet University of Miami junior Eli Zaid, the CEO of lifestyle brand Habits 365. The main message Zaid is trying to spread is to encourage others to build positive habits 365 days a year. Zaid mentions the thought process behind creating this brand and how it can help others realize the nature of their own habits.
We all have bad habits, but the key is to know your habits first, and then how am I going to correct this? Could I look up to a brand like Habits 365 that constantly encourages positive habits year-round?
He also points out how this theme is incorporated in the company's apparel.
We have a lot of messages on our gear that says your habits determine your success and kind of outlines this basic fundamental of better yourself through your habits.
And as a former owner of an apparel brand himself, Eli's brother Spencer Zaid became a 50-50 co-owner of Habits 365. And by combining both their strengths and experiences, the company's been growing ever since.
Being able to watch me sort of put those things together with my partner at the time and with, different designers and different manufacturers and all those, different garments that we were going through. I think him watching that sort of inspired him, which then, reverse inspired me to then go ahead and help him with that as well. And so, putting that team together with the two of us was really important.
And with the brand's rapid ascension, Spencer and Eli decided to take it a step further beyond simply encouraging positive habits, but also by giving back to communities in need.
So last December, we donated our proceeds from our recent sale and actual clothing items to a homeless shelter in Hawaii, and we're doing that again this upcoming December.
Eli also points out just how rewarding the feeling is being in a position to help others with his brand.
So getting, free merchandise makes someone feel good and not only impacts them, but just making them smile and making them feel good, and that's something that touched me, and we're going to continue working with that foundation as Christmas time's coming up again and holiday season's coming up again.
Despite the brand's early success, Spencer believes this is only the beginning.
We really, think we're just getting started. We think that there's a lot more room to grow. there's a lot more people to get in front of, there's a lot more communities to impact, and there's ultimately a lot more work to do.
Both Spencer and Eli's goals will always remain the same, and that is to be a top streetwear brand in the world, all while encouraging good habits and giving back to those in need. Reporting for UMTV, I'm Justin Ouaknine.